Let's get it on!
Welcome everybody to episode 9 of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I'm Josh.
And I am John Bon Jovi.
Really? You're John Bon Jovi?
Yeah.
Prove it.
Ooh, I'm halfway there. Oh,
Okay.
living on a prayer.
You can stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I prove it?
So what's with the get-up, sir?
Well, this is my throwback to former Intercontinental Champion, member of the NWO, Scott Hall.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, today, I think we are going to start our show with Breaking Kayfabe.
Breaking Kayfabe!
That's right, everybody.
Well, some interesting things in the entire world of wrestling this week. I'd like to kick it off with the last-minute addition to our Breaking Kayfabe list that I thought was pretty freaking cool. Zack Ryder posted episode number 99 of Long Island Ice-Z. Now, this was pulled by WWE and re-edited due to the fact that WWE did not approve of his video content, I guess you could say. You can jump in and help me out with this one anytime.
The episode starts off just like any other. He introduces it, and then it cuts away. And then there is Zack Ryder talking about how he is going to be the one who kills his creation and all this stuff. He's not going to allow the WWE to kill it.
They're not going to kill his baby. He created it. He'll take it out.
And, there was, this random shot of some wording, and it says 1/11/13, so obviously something's going to happen.
Yep, which
Friday.
Josh figured out will be SmackDown. Well, it'll be the airing of SmackDown, but apparently Zack Ryder also posts his videos.
Yes.
Now, however, me being the wrestling fan I am, and I obviously, Josh can back this up, I know a lot of random shit that a lot of people don't remember. I have the attention span in the world of a fucking, grape, but when it comes to wrestling, my mind holds on to it like a vice grip. Now, this promo, this video package by Zack Ryder, mirrored greatly the exact same promo that Vince McMahon shot when he brought the NWO into the WWE. I showed him even. It is almost identical word from word. Speech pattern, effects, everything. So my guess, it's a work. Zack Ryder, I am proclaiming, and you will see this, well, you won't see this until after it freaking happens, Zack Ryder is going heel.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The next thing we'd like to talk about is the amazing promo that The Rock and CM Punk had on Monday Night Raw.
It was a very good promo. I'll let you go first. I talk more than you.
It's okay. When CM Punk first came out, I was a little worried because lately, as we've never been shy of saying,
Hashtag crybaby bitch.
He's whined about everything. But this promo was something different.
This is a side of CM Punk that I haven't seen since the Nexus was around. This was the side of CM Punk that made me actually shut my computer and go, holy shit, he's got my attention. And for the first time on documented history, I am saying, CM Punk, bravo.
I mean, he truly did create a new pipe bomb on this episode of Raw. I mean,
however,
the things that he said, the way that he put it out there, it's something we haven't seen from him in a long time.
That's true, and I agree with that. The one thing I disagree with his promo, however, is that in his promo, and I'm paraphrasing, the fact that he made a comment that the guys who get cheered are the guys who get over.
You know what I mean? He cites John Cena, which, in that case, is absolutely true.
Yes. Yes, except for the fact that John Cena also has his haters.
But it didn't start that way.
No,
John
not
Cena
at all.
Was the favorite in the company for a long
segue
time.
for a second to, do you remember the first time John Cena ever got booed?
Well, big time booed, yes. That was at One Night Stand.
Yep. The match he had with Rob Van Dam for the WWE Championship. Yes. He got booed, shit got thrown at him. But I digress, and I go back to the fact that, what about Zack Ryder, Punk? Zack Ryder is one of the most wanted guys in WWE. Yet WWE pushes him aside for people like you, who gets what? More television time than David Hasselhoff in the Sandbox.
I mean, he's even getting pushed aside for people like the Great Khali, who are getting title shots.
Yeah.
You know, this should not be happening.
I agree.
Absolutely.
But we digress back to amazing promo. WWE, congratulations.
Absolutely.
We want to see The Rock kick Punk's ass, though, at Royal Rumble. At least I do.
And hopefully we'll get something just as good at next week's 20th anniversary of Raw, which you will probably not see until after this. But there you'll see this after that. But that's okay. Please still watch our show.
D'Angelo De Niro has decided not to re-sign with TNA, and rumor has it that he might be coming home to WWE.
That would be great. He was very underutilized as Elijah Burke.
I agree. I agree. And he started getting misused at the very end of his TNA reign as well. Yeah. He asked for TNA to give him a good storyline, and TNA was just kind of like, hey, you're not important anymore. Let's mid-card you.
I mean, me and him, we went to, was it Base Brawl?
Yes.
TNA's Base Brawl in Buffalo. And the Pope was there. And I have to say, he has one of the just the best personalities for a heel wrestler that I've ever come across.
He would not sign an autograph until you asked him politely and said, please.
Please, Pope, can I have an autograph? And if you didn't say that, he would not give you an autograph.
he spit on one of the kids in front of us and then ripped his picture.
it was quite entertaining. He's definitely got an interesting personality.
I'll make a deal with you. You being the geek you are, you cover the next one, and then I got the one after that.
Okay. It's been rumored that Dave Bautista is the top contender for the role of Drax the Destroyer in the upcoming Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Go
That's
Bautista.
Right. You know, I think it could be an interesting thing for him. I think it would be a real good push for him as far as movies go, getting into a big Marvel production.
That's true.
I mean, he's been doing a lot of different things. You know, I've seen him in a lot of just kind of straight-to-DVD type of movies and things like that.
Well, wasn't he just in this?
Yes, and he was recently in Quentin Tarantino's Man with the Iron Fists.
Yep,
absolutely.
And finally on Breaking Kayfabe tonight, Charlie Haas has been denied a singles push as ROH holds out for Shelton Benjamin to decide whether or not he's coming back.
Now, I have to say, this is a load of crap.
I agree. Charlie Haas simply asked if he could have a title shot. A singles title shot. And whether it be Kevin Steen or, I don't know if ROH has another title, but they said no. They want to see if Shelton Benjamin is going to come back to Ring of Honor or not, and it's apparently is pissing a lot of people off, because let's face it, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin making a great tag team. Split them up, though, and you get some amazing stuff still.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, whatever.
You know, give the guy an opportunity. He'll show you something. He really will. He always does.
Which brings us into today, segment 3 of the Attitude Era.
Absolutely. And we're going to start off by talking about Raw is War and Warzone.
Well, I remember the Raw is War and the Warzone era, but not really, because I was a WCW.
You were a WCW fan.
WCW for life.
Now, the Raw is War Warzone time spanned from March 10th of 1997 until September 10th of 2001.
September 10th?
Yes, September 10th. We'll cover that in a little bit. Now, this happened 1 month after Raw switched to the 2-hour format. You know, for a long time it ran as a 1-hour show. And, you know, they decided with Nitro getting as popular as it was, something needed to be done. They started doing a little bit more edgier content, and they were granted a 2-hour time slot.
See, and that's what gave WWF a good push. WCW and WWF battled back and forth for, like, ever. I mean, that's what the Monday Night Wars were about. Mm-hmm. In all aspects, he was a WWF guy. He loved the people like the Texas Rattlesnake, the Mankinds, the Takers, while I was watching people like the NWO, and I was watching people like Sting and Luger and Savage. However, we both got to share Flair.
That's true. That is true.
Oh, Ric Flair. If I scream at you too loud, you're going to bleed.
Now, with this new title came some new aspects to the show.
Well, like what?
Raw was completely revamped. They got brand new sets, brand new theme, which was The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson. Great song, great song. They got the brand new names because Raw was done at 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock. The way TV works, it's a little weird. You get prime time, which is between 8 and 10, and then you get post prime time, which is, you know, after 10 o'clock. So the first hour of Raw is actually set up differently than the second hour. And you can actually tell that in a little bit more recent days.
Yes.
Because they can do a little bit more edgier content in the second half.
Yep.
Well, now in the last hour.
If you remember correctly, when D-Generation X did their election / talk about speech, they stated that in the specific first hour they couldn't say such things as, and it was exploited, deleted, and then they did the stuff they could do in the second half.
Absolutely.
And DX is a prime example of the things that you could get away with. You never really saw them in the opening segments doing a lot of the shit that they could in the second half of the show. DX is a pioneer of everything the Attitude Era was. People need to realize that.
Now, even though Raw became known as Raw is War as a general term, Raw is War was actually only the first hour of the show.
And then
the second hour was known as the War Zone.
Yep.
This later was changed to just being Raw for the first half. And if you ever watched closely, as the 10 o'clock hour hit in the bottom of the screen, you would see it switch from Raw to Raw Zone.
Yep.
A lot of people didn't know that, didn't notice that.
Yep.
It's something I always happen to pick up on. So.
Yep. We also,
and they also
got new logos.
Yes.
It went from being the blocky WWF logo to the chickeny scratch drawn out one, which I feel like a third grader did for like his daddy, and then so it was like, oh.
And they were also given new logos for Raw is War
Yes.
and Warzone
Yes.
individually, which I'll show you right here.
Well. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, the following week showed an altercation between Vince and Bret Hart. I mean,
this unknowingly
Thank you.
foreshadowed the Montreal Screwjob, which we're all. If you're watching the show, you should be familiar with that since we had talked about it.
If you don't know what the Montreal Screwjob is right now, go back like 3 episodes. I talked about it.
Yes, we definitely. Actually, I think we talked about it in the last episode.
I'm pretty sure we did.
Or either the last or the first episode. Either way, watch our other episodes of the Attitude Era. It's in there. You should just catch up. It's good times.
Well, there were some notable storylines that happened during the Attitude Era that we'd like to bring up now. One of them being that the Hart Foundation declared war on the U.S. lifestyle.
I mean, that was an interesting time, I have to say. With this whole feud between Bret and Vince starting, which eventually led up to the Montreal Screwjob. You had a lot of this anti-American stuff from all the Canadians in
Well, don't forget that also during this time we also had the Hart Foundation feuding primarily with the D-Generation X, and I can remember in one instance exactly the D-Generation X crossing the line of what's morally right to what's morally not. I remember Shawn Michaels wadding up the Canadian flag, and he literally shoved it in his nose and stood there. Mm-hmm. Just stood there at ringside.
Hanging out of his nose.
Yeah.
Definitely a memorable.
That one is slightly offensive to most people. Me, however, I laughed. I loved it.
I mean, and obviously that also, I feel, it foreshadowed what was to come with the Montreal Screwjob involving Shawn Michaels and everything.
Yes.
That was definitely, I mean, I didn't see it coming, and I don't think
We were
most
a lot
people
younger
did see
then.
it coming.
Yeah. Wrestling,
But
with the invention of the internet, wrestling has lost its flair for being able to surprise people. Brock Lesnar's attack on John Cena, people always making returns. That is why a lot of the stuff that happens now, they are trying to keep it last minute. They don't want people to know.
Absolutely.
I mean, another great storyline, though, that happened during the Attitude Era, Paul Bearer revealing that The Undertaker had a brother that nobody knew about. And then he was badly burned, and that he would be coming for The Undertaker. Which, obviously, everybody knows, during the first ever Hell in a Cell match, he ripped that cage door off like it was a papier-mâché thing, and it was Sting and RoboCop.
Yep, and that was your introduction to Kane. I mean...
I just want to say, for anybody who gets that reference about RoboCop or bringing the papier-mâché door off the cage, letting Sting free, you rock.
Absolutely. I watched that.
It was
One
horrible.
of the funniest
It was
things
horrible.
I think I've ever seen. If you have never seen this, look up RoboCop, Sting, WCW. Just look it up. You will not regret it. It was really funny. Another notable storyline was the gang warfare that took place between the Nation of Domination, the Disciples of Apocalypse, and Los Boricuas, who were led by Savio Vega.
Oh. They didn't last long.
Exactly. Yeah. I had to look them up. I had no idea who they were.
Let's also talk about how Vince McMahon and Stone Cold. the first time ever that Vince McMahon actually had to lace up a pair of boots and get involved with something because they really wanted to push that boundary of where a wrestler could push around the boss. I mean, he stunned Vince McMahon the first time and it looked awful. But then they started fighting and it got better.
And we also saw the emergence of one of the greatest stables of all time, D-Generation X. That's right.
We are proud members of the DX Army.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no hiding that fact. Let's see. After WrestleMania 14, WWF regained the lead in the Monday Night Wars. The Vince and Austin feud caused a lot of people to really just tune in. It caught their attention, and they really wanted to see what was going to happen. You know, you had this guy. He rose up through the ranks, and now he's just challenging the boss. Something that you didn't see.
I remember the beer truck and the Zamboni.
Absolutely. Those were some great times. And on April 13th, the April 13th, 1998 episode of Raw, it was headlined by a match between Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin. This marked the first time that WCW had lost in the ratings in the 84 weeks that they had been on top since 1996.
That's crazy.
You know, I mean, they went like a year and a half just kicking WWF's ass.
Well, the war of the WWF also led to having D-Generation X declaring war on WCW, which they shot a promo. It was Hunter and the DX Army taking and going straight to WCW's live event. And, well, let's just, I mean, if you haven't seen the promo, look it up. DX invades WCW. One of the greatest promos ever. He turned WCW fans against WCW. And he would be like, how much did you pay for your ticket? And a fan would be like,
yeah, I got my ticket for free.
They were giving their tickets away. I mean, as soon as they were trying to drive into the arena, though, they shut the door.
It's true. But, you know, I mean, with WCW just giving away tickets, I mean, I feel like they kind of just asked for it. You know, it sent the message that people didn't really want to come see your product. You were giving them away for free.
Well, let's look at the statistics for a second. I mean, when you really think about it, WCW is the Down South brand. It was wrestling, not wrestling.
That's true.
A lot of people, including Ted Turner, I found out, Ted Turner would publicly appear to people, and he would talk to the wrestlers and be like, look, a lot of the guys upstairs want me to cancel this and just put something else in this time slot. But what a lot of people don't know is I'm a fan of wrestling, so keep doing what you're doing. Learn this from watching this thing, baby.
Very nice, very nice. Now, on January 4th, 1999,
WCW opened up their show by stating that you didn't want to watch WWF that night because Mick Foley, Mankind, was going to win the WWF Championship. And as I've stated before, WCW made a huge mistake that night. Why?
Because after that, over 500,000 viewers switched channels and turned over to Monday Night Raw.
Now, coincidentally, the main event of WCW that night would see Kevin Nash taking on a returning Hulk Hogan for the WCW Championship, which many people thought would be a great match, and instead turned out to be one of the biggest jokes in professional wrestling today, leading to what everybody refers to now as the finger poke of doom. Now, would you like to describe what the finger poke of doom is?
Finger poke of doom. This was Kevin Nash coming out, parading around a little bit to make Hulk Hogan look good, allowing Hulk Hogan to poke him in the chest, and he just lays down for him. Lets him win, takes the title, and I'm kind of glad that I was not a WCW fan at the time. Because I think I would have been really pissed.
I was highly disappointed this night due to the fact that, I mean, I was a Wolfpack fan, and this was a big reformation in the NWO era. I mean, like, we really got to see both sides of the NWO Hollywood and the Wolfpack remerge, and they came out stronger than ever. But this is the same point that you saw Sting take a new transition in his character. A few of the NWO members started taking a leave from the NWO and starting their own gimmicks again. And at the same time, WCW took a stand for themselves and also started to make their own name again. And really trying to push back against what WWF is doing. Get it? But you fucked up.
Yeah, you really did. I mean, you thought you were gonna have something good, you know, just mocking the WWF, being like, oh yeah, this match is gonna put the butts in the seats. Go see Mankind. No, that's what they wanted to see. And unlike you, they did it right.
Isn't it funny though how again Triple H versus Shawn Michaels for the European Championship was a finger poke of doom match.
Yes, it was.
Happened before this match happened. And yet when WCW tried to do it, it backfired in their face.
Absolutely.
But when WWF did it with D-Generation X, the fans applauded and cheered.
Yeah, but you know, when D-Generation X did it, they did it for the coveted European Championship. Nobody cared about that title.
That's true.
But when you do it for the WCW, the heavyweight championship, the title that is the top of the company, it kind of makes fans think that they don't care about their stars, their company. They don't care about the title.
Well,
it's just a joke to them.
A lot of the booking in that time was being done by Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan anyway.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the younger talents
got looked over.
I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a lot of people who could have used a push that weren't getting pushes.
Exactly.
But, I mean, let's go back to the fact. In September of 2000, WWE, well, WWF, they made a move. They moved from the USA Network to TNN at the time. TNN, which later became Spike TV, which is now the current home of TNA Wrestling, or Impact Wrestling.
Whatever you want to call yourselves now. Either way, you're TNA to me. Just saying.
Yeah. Or the new WCW, as they like to call it.
So in other words, they're doomed? Hey, the shoe fits.
I'm just saying, Hulk Hogan's doing the booking.
And following the sale of WCW and the events of September 11th, 2001, the Raw is War and Warzone titles were quietly retired, and the show was simply called Raw. You know, I mean, I understand. You know, you had, the events of 9/11. I get it. You know, people were sensitive to things about war.
Yeah.
So why, turn people away from your product?
It's true.
And when you could just change it and go with the times. I mean, I get it.
You mean kind of like the World Wrestling Federation becoming the World Wrestling Entertainment?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, I want to see a panda bear get hit in there with a steel chair!
Yeah. On to our next topic.
Trish Stratus and Lita.
That's true. They had, granted, throughout WWE's history, they've had some great matches together.
They have.
They've teamed, they've feuded.
Actually, sadly,
long run.
We haven't had good women wrestlers since then, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got Natty. Oh, sorry, Natalia. But, I mean, in all honesty, what's being done with her?
You have Caitlyn, who's coming up in the ranks.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see what they're
hopefully we'll see something good with that. But the funny thing about the Trish and Lita feud is that it was actually a fairly short feud during the Attitude Era.
It really was.
Trish had her in-ring debut June 22nd of 2000. She was part of TNA, which was Test and Albert. Albert, now, for all those out there who don't know, which I'm not sure how you would know, is Tensai. And if you ever listen to when Tensai's out there, you'll hear people chanting Albert all the time.
That's very true.
And they would go on to defeat Team Extreme. And I think this was an episode of Raw.
Yeah.
And it was her debut with them. And this sparked the feud. And they would go a little bit back and forth. And this feud eventually led to an Indian strap match between the two of them in an episode of Raw, where Trish defeated Lita with help from Stephanie McMahon.
Interesting.
Now, even though this feud didn't last for very long during the Attitude Era, it built for better future feuds for the two of them. I mean, they would go on to do some great wrestling together.
Yeah. I
mean, and yes, maybe they weren't enemies outside of the ring, but that's okay, because they worked together better than most divas. Hell, a lot of wrestlers, just in general, that I've seen, they worked together great, and I really wish that we could see stuff like that again.
I know this is kind of sidelining from what we're talking about here, but he just brought up a great point. We recently saw a 60-minute Iron Man match between big-time Bill Collier and the fabulous John McChesney.
It's at our recent Pro Wrestling Rampage event in Erie,
These two are such great friends outside of the business that, I know I'm breaking kayfabe again, that inside the ring they put on such great shows. This was like the 5th match we've seen them do, and it was still so unstoppably amazing.
It really was.
Congratulations to John McChesney on your title reign.
Yes.
I won't go into details because I'm still excited to see what comes, and I don't really want to smudge that line. I kind of want there to be that line of kayfabe again. I don't want people to focus on the outsides of wrestling. I want them to see what the character is supposed to have you see.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna just kind of let that rest there.
Now, there's a little interesting tidbit that I found when I was researching the Trish and Lita stuff. Did you know that Trish Stratus had an on-screen relationship with Jeff Hardy and almost joined up with Team Extreme?
Think that would have been interesting.
You know, this was, however, halted due to her injury in 2001.
That really sucks. I mean, Trish Stratus is a great wrestler. I can't imagine what it would be like to have two guys, two girls.
Could have been interesting though. I would have liked to have seen what they had planned for that, but you know, we'll never know.
Maybe on another live sex show. It would have been the first live sex show.
Yeah, maybe.
Speaking of live sex, that brings us to our next topic.
Absolutely.
He is the one and the only. Hello, ladies.
Big Velboski.
Val Venus.
Yeah.
Did you know that he debuted on May 18th, 1998? And he was debuted with a porn gimmick. Now, they ran a bunch of vignettes for him, a lot of them talking about his on-screen relationships, and he even did a vignette with Jenna Jameson. I thought that was pretty cool. I did see the vignette.
I have to say, that's definitely dedication.
Yeah, well,
you know, to that gimmick.
There really isn't much about Val Venus during the Attitude Run. He just had a lot of feuds, a couple small title successes, and then really he just kind of got pushed over until he did his Rights to Censor gimmick. But, I mean, a couple of the things he did, he had multiple feuds with people such as Kai and Tai. He had feuds with Ken Shamrock, Goldust, and we'd see him win the Intercontinental Championship off Ken Shamrock with help from Billy Gunn.
Very nice.
I mean, it was an interesting match. Billy Gunn was a special ref. Ken Shamrock, you know, just wasn't at the top of his game at that time. He wasn't in the zone, I guess you could say. But really, it was his feud with Steve Blackman and Davey Boy Smith that really kind of put him on the map. And it was nice. But then in 2001, he joined Rights to Censor, and we're not going to talk about that right now.
So we're going to save Rights to Censor
now
for the next episode.
You brought up Trish and Lita.
It's true.
I would like to bring up two of the original Attitude Era divas.
Okay.
Tammy Lynn Sitch, better known as Sunny, and Rena Lesnar, better known as, well, Sable.
Yeah, Sunny and Sable.
Now,
nice.
A lot of people during the Attitude Era thought that what those two had on screen was a huge, great storyline. Well, after doing some digging, I found out today that that was no freaking storyline. That was pure hatred for one another. And they're both, today, still going at it. Now, I have a quote right here from Tammy Lynn Sitch. And it says, "It wasn't professional jealousy, it was personal differences. She wasn't a quality human being, and I did not like that."
Wow.
Yeah. That right there just states, I mean,
there must really be some deep hatred there.
Well,
for the two of them.
I was reading a really fascinating one online today. It was about how Tammy had been asked to come on Raw 15, the 15th anniversary, and Sable was like, well, I wasn't asked because Tammy was there, and because of Tammy being there, she asked the executive head board to not have me there. Well, Tammy blasted back with, if I have such power to not have somebody on the show, why haven't I re-asked to be recontracted? Which is a great point, because let's face it, Tammy Lynn Sitch and wrestling go hand in hand. She married the late Chris Candido, which is another funny thing, because when she was leased to ECW is when she met Chris, and then she was later fired because she made a statement on ECW that that was her new home. And WWE found out and was like, yeah, get the hell out. Yeah. But she went on
to... You gotta be careful what you say in this business.
Just ask AW.
Yeah.
But,
no more Kobe jokes.
Both women, in and out of the ring, hate each other. But, I mean, they never really got to get physical. That kind of sucks.
It's true. I mean, I'm sure lots of guys would have loved to see them get physical.
Well, let's face it. I mean, my favorite Sable moment ever is probably the same as most guys, and that's the night she won the bikini contest by coming out with nothing more than handprints painted. Oh, my God. I'm getting so stammered in my own mind just thinking about that rack. Bare it all.
Yeah.
Can we put a picture up of that? Oh my God, those. Oh.
Now, our next topic is.
Before we go on to the next topic, I would like to point out that due to us having this and me putting my number up there, I actually got in contact with one of my former Job Corps friends.
Really?
He's been watching it since episode 1 and proceeded to finally call. Well, he texted me. But you know what? Thank you, Joe Carlton, for watching Off the Ropes.
Yes, thank you. Now, we'd like to talk about another member of Rights to Censor, the Godfather.
You mean that guy with the hose?
Absolutely. He had plenty of hose.
Interesting tidbit to you, because I know he knows.
Oh, I
I
know.
want to know if you knew. Did you know? Menudo. Did you know? That's right. We are going to now teach you Spanish. Did you know that before he was the Godfather, Marty Bright?
No, this was.
Sorry. Go ahead. Correct me.
Oh, I'm sorry. This was not Marty Wright. This was his brother.
I can't remember it. Well, did you know that before he was the Godfather, he had a previous gimmick, and he was none other than the shaman himself, Papa Shango.
Papa Shango.
Which, coincidentally, Marty Wright, his brother, later became the Boogeyman.
Very similar gimmicks. Would have loved to have seen them tag together.
That would have been awesome.
Would have been very, very cool.
Well, he was Papa Shango. He got his ass kicked by Hulk Hogan and the Warrior in the early 90s. WrestleMania 12? WrestleMania 10? Somewhere in there. It was one of those WrestleManias. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, they both beat him up. He was gone. Comes back as the Godfather. And then after he was done with the Godfather for a little bit, he came back in 1997 from the Papa Shango gimmick as
the God, or as a Kama Mustafa,
and joined the Nation of Domination.
Now during this time frame, he would become known as the Godfather of the Nation. This was a nickname, a moniker, as you could say.
I call it Prelude.
Or that. And this would eventually turn into his ring name in 1998.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Now, on the July 27th episode of Raw is War, he debuted his hose.
Which we found out were usually local girls from local strip clubs.
Yes.
Which I kind of find that funny.
Hey, you know what? Giving them jobs, you know?
Well, they already had a job. They were sliding them down the pole and they were dancing. If CM Punk was there, you know what he'd say? You're a... Am I allowed to say it?
Fine.
Whore!
Yeah.
That's right. Now, he really didn't get much of a push back in the Raw era, or the Attitude Era as well. He did, however, find success in claiming the IC title.
I forgot this. About his hose.
Oh! He began offering his opponents the
girls
services. Well, I was saying hose
for any
services,
any purpose, wanted,
as long as they would
agree to forfeit their match.
There you go. I'm just hot chocolate.
He's thinking about the hose. And
my mind's still unstable. And those
Sable
puppies,
and Sunny and all that.
Puppies. Oh my God, Tamulin Sitchy's hot. I would. Oh.
Absolutely. Okay. He then went on to win the Intercontinental Championship in... What were you doing over there? Honestly.
Hoisting her boobs and licking her nipple.
Is that how you do things?
No, I usually pinch it together and then rub my nose in.
He rubs his nose in. He won the Intercontinental Championship in April of 1999 and was supposed to drop it to Owen Hart at Over the Edge 99, but tragically, that is the night that Owen passed away.
Over the Edge 1999 was hosted and shown on May 23rd, 1999. They had a really nice little card put together. It saw Kane and X-Pac defeat D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry in the tag title match. It saw Al Snow defeat Hardcore Holly in a hardcore title match. We got to see Val Venus and Nicole Bass defeat Jeff Jarrett and Deborah in a mixed tag match. Badass Billy Gunn defeated the Road Dogg. The Union, which consisted of Mankind, Big Show, Test, and Ken Shamrock, defeated the Corporate Ministry, which was Viscera, the Boss Man, and the Acolytes, which was Bradshaw and Baruch. Also saw The Rock defeat Triple H, and The Undertaker defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin in a WWF title match with special guest referees Shane and Vince McMahon. But many people remember this night as the night that Owen Hart tragically passed away. Owen Hart is a phenomenal wrestler. He had one of the greatest on-screen personalities of anybody ever. and was cut down due to a sad mishap. Nobody's ever going to know whose fault it was. Nobody's ever going to know what happened. But wrestling lost one of the greatest wrestlers ever. I don't give a shit if people want to say Bret Hart was the best Hart. It's arguable. Owen Hart never really got to show his potential. And he was a phenomenal worker. He was great. He can make you hate him. He can make you love him. The things he did was just awesome. Okay?
I absolutely agree.
The following night on Raw, all the storylines were scrapped and all feuds were ended. They did a
tribute episode for him.
Sadly, the tribute episode for Owen Hart sucked. Okay? This was
However, the content may not have been that great, but I was reading it was one of the highest rated episodes of Raw ever.
It was one of the first times they'd ever had to do a tribute episode, and it was so last minute that they couldn't really prepare for it like they can with most of them. Most things sadly happen on weekends now. That just happened the night before Raw. And coincidentally, the show would have to go on though, and Vince McMahon made a hard decision to continue Over the Edge. And he was afraid that if he had legitimately kept the show from going on, he would have to refund tickets. And let's face it, in 1999, the WWF is not big enough to survive something like that. However, the Hart family did sue the WWF for $18 million and would win in a settlement in court. And as an agreement, also, WWF Home Video has never released it to DVD or VHS. However, if you know your connections on the internet or you know how to find something, it is available. He owns a copy. It really sucked. Owen Hart was one of my favorite wrestlers. And I didn't watch WWF a lot, but I knew who Owen was. And I can remember, honestly, it's on the history of the WWF Championship. There's a match between him and Bret inside the cage match.
Yes.
That was also my first introduction to Davey Boy Smith. Also, God rest his soul. Those two were two of my favorite WWF guys. I loved Davey Boy. And I always tell him, my favorite Davey Boy was with the long hair and the beads and the pants, and he'd come out. He was a great worker. Okay? WWF has always had better talent than WCW. I will state that now. The one thing WCW had that WWF didn't have was a backer that could financially take care of them. I mean, let's face it, WCW had people like Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone, David Arquette. I mean...
Yeah.
So, Over the Edge 99's show continued. The next night would happen. Life continued on. A lot of people miss Owen still to this day. And anybody who has a problem with Owen Hart, I will knock you in the face.
He will, too. You know, he'll be the guy on the parking lot cracking skulls.
Damn straight. You want to find me? Find the guy cracking skulls. Which ends our actual topic for the day. However, that brings us up to our next installment.
On the shelf. With this week, the Monday Night War DVD.
Yes. It is the Monday Night War DVD between WCW and Monday Nitro.
So one disc DVD. I mean, it's nothing super special, but it is pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Well, that makes me sad now.
What's that?
It features a DVD extra of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels taking on the British Bulldog and Owen Hart.
It is.
That's
really cool. I mean, this DVD...
Oh, look. If you rent this DVD, it has DX invading WCW on it.
Yes, it does. It has Eric Bischoff and Jim Cornette were on. They talked about a lot of different things during this, commented on a lot of different storylines that went on.
Shows Randy Savage debuting in WCW.
It shows Stone Cold's first stunner to Vince.
Shows Medusa dropping the WWF Women's title in the trash on WCW Nitro.
Absolutely.
Which, coincidentally, there's talks about having her back at Raw 20. So I'm kind of excited to find out if there's any still heat between the two of them for
that'll be interesting. It also shows it talks about the screw job, and it gives you the Brett Screwed Brett interview with Vince McMahon. Which is a very interesting little interview.
It also shows the jump to WCW and WWF for Malenko, Jericho, Eddie, and Benoit.
It shows some stuff about David Arquette and his WCW title.
Really? You had to bring that up?
I mean, it's there.
It didn't happen. No.
I mean, why do you think Ready to Rumble was so popular?
What? Ready to what? Should have.
Go get it. So, but yeah, I mean, it also includes, you know, the D-Generation X invading WCW, and shows a little bit of when the NWO invaded the WCW production truck.
I can't find it!
You can't find it?
I can't find it!
I know you got it on VHS.
No.
That's sad.
I got rid of the VHS.
Well, I'll put a picture up.
Wait! I
Yeah,
found it!
You find it?
I found
I
it!
think he found it. Alright, here we are.
I do own Ready to Rumble on DVD.
Ready to Rumble on DVD.
Any true WCW fan owns this goddamn movie. Do you understand me? I will back WCW up and I will crack skulls.
Now, like I said, it also had the NWO as they invaded the WCW production truck. Which, I'm pretty sure, isn't that when we see Rey Mysterio?
Boom! Pole vaulted into the side of the production. He grabs the pole, jumps up, leaps at Kevin Nash, and Nash is like, catch, toss. Poor Rey Mysterio, you get beat up so often. I remember that. I remember him being strapped to a backboard and bashed into a post.
Yep. So many bad things happen to him.
You can get this on WWEshop.com. You can get this on no, I know it's on there.
Okay,
it is on there. You can get this on Amazon and possibly any store that still really has these.
That's true.
I mean, it's pretty freaking old. It's
2003. No.
Benoit was still alive.
Now this DVD also talks about Bischoff challenging Vince on the Nitro at May 11th, 1998.
Yep.
You know, he sends out a challenge to Vince McMahon.
Ooh, it was
interesting
pretty
time.
brutal. It also covers a little bit of the Chris Benoit, Booker T, Best of 7 series.
Yes, it actually shows match number 4.
Match number 4. See, there you go.
It's a good match.
Also on this DVD, Rick Rude being the only person to ever be on Raw and Nitro, both at the same time.
Very interesting. Now, speaking of Ricks, it also includes Ric Flair's WCW return.
Woo!
That's right.
Woo!
And the DVD ends with the buyout, of course.
It never happened. WCW is still alive.
No, that's TNA.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mr. Impact over here.
What are you trying to say?
Just saying, there was a deep impact somewhere. That might be that could be a Val Venus reference.
It could be. Deep Impact. Maybe that's the name of his move.
So that wraps up another episode of Off the Ropes with John and Josh.
Absolutely. Make sure to go to Facebook, find our page, like us.
You know, I've actually been following a lot more of the stuff we've been posting on Facebook. I posted a couple things. I covered the Ryback stuff. I've covered the New Age Outlaws.
I try to share as much as I can. You know,
he shares most of it.
Stuff.
I share very little bit of it.
I like to give people a reason to actually want to be
true.
part of our page.
That's true.
Interesting information.
And you know what? As many of you that are watching this, you still haven't found our page yet. If you can't find it, shoot us an email. My public email is john_maid, M-A-I-D, @hotmail.com. Email me. Text me. You still haven't texted me. 716-951-0799.
Absolutely.
I think you should put yours up there.
That's okay.
No? Okay.
So, and don't forget to check us out on Twitter.
Nope, still haven't started
Now,
tweeting yet.
I know we're no Zack Ryder.
Speaking of Zack Ryder and tweets, WWE put up a thing on Nitro about...
On Nitro? On Monday Night Raw.
On Raw about the most followed people on Twitter. Zack Ryder was not on this list, and he has at least...
It had The Rock, it had John Cena.
The Miz.
A couple other people, and then number 5 was The Miz, with like 890,000 Twitter followers. Which, if you go to Zack Ryder's Twitter page, he has like 100,000 more followers than The Miz.
Yeah.
Why did they leave him off?
Damn the man!
Exactly.
Damn the man!
You know, they're dropping the ball with him again.
And like us, and follow us, or no, sorry.
Watch
Find us
all of our previous episodes.
on YouTube. And subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Absolutely. I mean, we got some good stuff up there. And we got much more great things to come.
We do.
Yeah, man. This isn't just like a 9-time thing.
6-time? For those of you who don't get this reference, when Booker T was doing King Booker, okay, and he won the World Heavyweight Championship, he started putting his pinky up. It wasn't a royalty thing. He had to carry on from the 5-time to 6. Instead of putting a finger up, he went with the pinky up. So for those of you who thought Booker T was just being nice and respectful, he didn't give a shit.
He just wanted to boast. 6 times, bitches.
6.
Alright, well, this has been another awesome episode of Off the Ropes with John and Josh.
I'm John.
And I am none other than your roast master, Josh.
I like that.
Yeah.
And we are down for the count.
Let's get it on!